20 minutes.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be a 6-hour review of The Lion King. All right, everyone, folks, how you doing? This is Werewolf Radar, the world's most premier paranormal preparedness podcast. My name is Roger Norquist,
I am Nate Balding.
and
And we, of course, are brought to you this week by Monstruco brand Jiangxi Harness. Is your Chinese jumping corpse getting out of control? Bonking its head on the ceiling, keeping you awake at night, and sometimes during the day? Well, with Monstruco's Jiangxi Harness, you can strap that motherfucker down, keep it from getting off the ground. Monstruco. What the fuck?
you know what? I have been looking for such a I have been looking for such a product, and here's why. I bought a Jiangxi because I don't have the room for a dog. Plus, you gotta walk a dog. You know, a Jiangxi can just hop around your place. It doesn't have to go outside to.
Right, they'll take care of their own business.
Yeah, exactly. But it is getting noisy, and this harness, I'm gonna strap it to the secret room inside the closet that we found the other day. I'm gonna harness it in
Right.
there and hopefully keep the racket down so I can finally get some sleep on work days because it is jumping so much.
Yeah, no, they're very, very loud.
They're loud guys, but easy to train overall, except they're loud regardless of how you train them.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you have the right talisman, you're in control,
Yeah.
theoretically.
Yeah,
But nothing.
do not lose the talisman.
And if you do, for a small fee, Monstruco will, of course, replace your Jiangxi talisman, but it may be too late.
It is always too late. And the
Always
price
too
has
late.
already been paid. So that's like two whammies at once.
Yeah.
It sucks. Anyway, Nate, we got two wonderful segments for the people this week.
Yes, we are missing Jordan currently.
Yes.
He's trapped in a giant panini press.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's a panini pressing in Redacted, and unfortunately, he's right in there. He's right in the middle of this pressing, and you
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
escape for now. But just know that he is warm and
He
a little
was
bit
he was
cheesy.
was on a hike through Sandwich Mountain, stepped on the wrong bush.
Now, Nate, can I continue my segment on the paranormal being known as ZoZo?
Please do.
So last week I was reading from the book The ZoZo Phenomenon by one phenomenal. Let me bookmark this so I can actually go
We can
back
get
and
back
credit
there.
the author. Written by two authors, one Darren Evans and Rosemary Ellen Guiley.
Sure.
Guiley? You tell us in the comments how you want to be it pronounced. But it's a fun little read, has various firsthand accounts recounted to the authors, which we have been reading. Last week I read some of the Strange Encounters chapter from that book. And now let's read from chapter 10 in there. The levels of ZoZo encounters, Zuzu encounters, ZoZo encounters definitely sounds right. Now in hindsight,
Yeah, Zuzu's the little girl from It's a Wonderful Life.
and the chat knows of the Rosemary author and says she does the Lord's work in compiling all sorts of wacky information. So thank you, Rosemary, for doing the Lord's work here. Whoever your Lord might be, my Lord can't be pronounced using the human tongue. Nate, who's your Lord?
Oh gosh, I have so many of them. There's a great pantheon. I guess it's mostly Joey Ramone,
Hmm.
but he's got a quado of Spider-Man coming out of his stomach.
Nice. Frightening as well. So let's talk about the very bizarre case called the Gulf Breeze 6. The first introductory paragraph of this segment goes, did a Z entity, which ZoZo is called throughout this book, they're called Z entities. They go by various names. There's some that are Z, Kazike, Zechariah, Zechariah meant, and ZoZo is what we know him here as, truly in like the secular American society. Did a Z entity help influence a group of American soldiers go AWOL in order to combat the end of the world? Nate?
If that didn't happen in real life, I hope it happens in a movie sometime that I get to see.
Coming soon from Werewolf Radar Pictures, a subsidiary of Monstroko Films, the Gulf Seas 6 incident.
I like the idea if it's like part of a whole Ernest style franchise. Zozo goes AWOL.
So in 1990, the news media reported that 6 U.S. Army intelligence analysts deserted their military post in West Germany because spirits talking through a Ouija board advised them that they were needed elsewhere in the world to lead humanity through impending cataclysms.
Yeah, one of those basic issue Ouija boards that you're always hearing about.
You see, you get a lot of what am I trying to say? Requisitions, sundries. You get a lot
Sure,
of
yeah, yeah.
standard requisitions when you serve overseas. You get 3 boxes. And my family was in the military, so I learned everything about them. This is correct 100%. You get 3 boxes of MREs, and that's all you get for your entire station. So reserve them for when you absolutely need them. You get a gun, your choice, up to rocket launcher, depending on rank, but you have to buy the bullets, and a Ouija board. Welcome to the Army.
No, you have to provide your own planchette, though. It's
You do have to provide your
kind
own
of
planchette,
bullshit.
yeah. Which I learned a planchette is just a word for a what does it mean, Nate? Do you remember?
Well,
Anything
it's
could be
just
a planchette. Your fingers can be the
yeah,
planchette,
yeah. I mean, it's
essentially.
really it's just any pointing device, I
Yeah, or
guess.
or like something that, yeah, like a circular item, like a upside down glass can be a planchette.
Yeah.
It keeps going. There we go. So in 1990, 6 soldiers deserted their post. Supposedly, allegedly, uh, a Ouija board tells them that they are needed elsewhere to lead humanity through an impending series of cataclysms. The soldiers ranged in age from 19 to 27 years of age, which is very weird to say now when I'm thinking about it. Years of age, what else would they be? The soldiers were stationed in Augsburg. Let's go with Augsburg. Augsburg,
Yeah.
West Germany, where they all had top secret security clearances with the National Security Agency, NSA, in the 701st Military Intelligence Brigade. In November 1989, they decided to experiment to see if there was any validity into extrasensory perception, ghosts, and other paranormal phenomenon. This sounds like it might be nonsense. However, this is something that the military and various universities in multiple countries were studying. You have, of course, the famous studies that Russia was doing on various things. Um, Although it
Oh
is
yeah, no,
escaping me now, I do apologize. I'm not going to
we
look it
both
up.
we both tried to establish some sort of like clairvoyant abilities,
Yes. In
and
America,
whether they could be used to, well, to spy on each other. And I like to think
very
that
much.
all of it actually worked, but all the clairvoyants met and saw inside each other's mind and touched each other's hearts and realized that the Cold War was futile and decided not to let their powers be known.
We need to publish that fan fiction. That's very good, Nate. That's fucking sellable. Here in America in the 80s, I think, around this time, you have a very famous Stanford experiment to where Stanford selected a small group of students, or not students, but people of various ages, but
It was students.
in particular two teenagers. I think they were both very young, like 19, 20 at most. Um, and they showed extraordinary abilities to manipulate things and both telekinetic and like they had telekinetic powers and telepathic powers. They seemed to be able to read minds and move things without physically touching them.
Yeah, a
And then
couple
it
of
turned
Jean Greys.
Yeah, and then it turned out that these were just two students of the great magician, the amazing Randy, who was trying to prove that extrasensory perception didn't exist and that Stanford was wasting money. After Stanford studied Uri Geller and said that all of this was legitimate.
Yeah, Stanford. It's that's what you're paying for.
So around this time, there is a continued interest in extrasensory perception technologies to spy on each other. And Nate, once again, think about writing that into a series of novels and self-publishing that because that's a solid fucking plot.
Oh, it's a deep romance, is what it is.
I'm sorry, you already have it way worked out. The soldiers, nothing happened in their experiments until they tried using a Ouija board. The soldiers communicated with several spirits, all of whom gave biblical names, who predicted the Gulf War and, in 1990, the Iran earthquake. The Iran earthquake. I try to pronounce things correctly, but Americanization of whatever. And issued dire doomsday warnings. I also try to say things like a cartoon character. In May of 1990, the spirits told the soldiers that they should get out of the military because serious things were going to happen over the next 5 years. In
I mean,
quotes,
if you're in the American military at any time in the past that the military has existed, get out of the military
get out of the
because something's
military.
going to happen in the next 5 years.
Being in the service would not help us grow and become what we were supposed to become, according to one of the six. They were further told by the spirits that they were destined to teach and prepare people for the coming chaos, which would include earth changes, the second coming of Christ. I think I pronounced that correctly.
You did.
And the rapture of the faithful into heaven, which did just happen April 8th. Do you know anyone that was raptured? Tell us in the comments. Or
See, the thing is,
join
once
our
they're
join our
raptured,
Patreon and tell us.
they're
It's free.
they're deleted from your memory. You don't even know.
Is that why I'm shorthanded at work?
There were 24 billion people on this planet before April 8th.
Nate's deep in the sauce. Is that a legitimate theory? Because I love
No,
that.
but I'm starting it.
Dude. This is a good episode.
Calling
So,
all QAnons.
if you did not know, there were 24 billion people on this planet, but now there's only 8 billion. Welcome to Survivor Hell, baby. Get your Mad Max mask on because it's time to scream into the petrol waste.
You've been eclipsed.
You've been eclipsed. I'm putting that on to no, that's very clickbaity and misleading. Let's try and get organic followers. I was thinking just like a huge black eclipse on there, and it just says, "You've been eclipsed." Is your segment about the eclipse?
No.
Damn it. Well, we can't do that then. But great idea. Do we restart the episode about and then now do it on Eclipse Myths? No, no, no. I've already done too much.
That's crazy town. It
So
already happened.
we've already gone too far. So the soldiers could find no way to get out of the army early. Once you're in for a good few years, unless you choose to get dishonorably discharged or various fun ways, that may or may not get you into jail, or you're just sent home without a pension or a GI Bill or whatever. Once again, no, I've been, my family's all part of the military. I know everything. The spirits, however, they brought the spirits this conundrum and said, we can't leave. The spirits told them, leave, just leave. And the spirits said that they would be protected. So that's what they did, and they forged papers to leave. On July 3rd, 1990, they returned to the United States via Atlanta and went to Chattanooga, Tennessee, where they rented a van and drove on the 94 highway to Gulf Breeze, Florida.
Hell yeah, dude. Spring break.
Spring break. Now, when you say it like that, is this just like some soldiers overstressed because we're at like the ending of the Cold War? Like at this time, like the Soviet Union is decolonializing to where like they are giving freedom to various cities or country states, and it's crumbling, and some of these states are anti-American, and it's a sketchy time. Like now a lot of nukes are up in the air. Is this just a summer break for 2 weeks that is being lied to? They're like, no, ZoZo told us to escape.
Yeah, no, I mean it definitely does kind of seem like the bottom of the barrel of excuses. Like, explain yourselves. I'm sorry, Sarge. Someone from beyond the veil told me I had to escape. Pyle.
So Gomer Pyle and crew rented a van, head down to Gulf Breeze, Florida.
These are all very timely references.
Now I know who are these jokes for? Our grandparents? Just leave is what the spirits tell them. They do. They forge papers. They head down to Florida for in July. And now at the time, the Gulf Breeze, where they're heading, is a hotbed of UFO activities and sightings, according to the ZoZo phenomenon. But the soldiers had trained in nearby Pensacola and had friends there. So we're back now to, instead of somewhere paranormal, this is a summer break at the end of the Soviet Union. They were arrested 11 days later on July 14th when one of them was stopped for a broken taillight on his vehicle. They were taken to Fort Knox, Kentucky for an investigation and were held in solitary confinement. Relatives of the detainees leaked information as to the events surrounding the mysterious case, catching the attention of members of Congress. Speculation soon became rampant, and the media began asking questions, much to the embarrassment of the Pentagon officials. Word spread that the soldiers were being severely punished by military tribunal.
I mean, isn't that usually how it goes if you're,
That is literally what you are asking for if you go AWOL. You are to be
yeah.
severely punished by a military tribunal, which is what's happening here. Solitary confinement is so that I don't know why that is. Solitary confinement is inhumane.
Yeah, it is.
Um,
I would imagine that it's probably so they can't like organize a
but
fake story.
yes,
And they are coming out of the intelligence division, so they might have, I don't know.
you
I mean,
have
they might have some kind of weird bargaining chip kind of information.
once again, these are not grunts. I feel like that got lost in the text. These are NSA agents who have high military clearance. So, yeah, they have military secrets up the wazoo. And this is for sure possibly a case of, in the Pentagon's eyes, of espionage, you know? So it is what it is. But solitary confinement is inhumane, but at the same time, I don't like giving the government benefit of the doubt or whatnot, but you don't want people with your secrets free, possibly selling the secrets before they get executed, you
I
know?
mean, they already traded him to ZoZo for
Yeah, the secrets are gone.
precognition.
So they're in solitary confinement, military tribunal, words getting out, misunderstanding of how the military works. However, it is inhumane regardless. 2 weeks after after a big hubbub was made of their treatment, and to the shock of many, they were honorably discharged instead of court-martialed. It was stated that no evidence was found that they had been involved in espionage. They were reduced to the lowest rank and had to forfeit a half month's pay.
That doesn't seem all that terrible, actually.
Lowest rank, I mean, if you were, I don't know, agent or officer rank or whatever rank, some ranks are lower than others, but it's quite the,
Right, they're kicked down to private, but
I think it sucks for some benefits.
versus going to, military prison.
Oh yeah, for sure, for life or some nonsense, or like just for any amount of time. They're just docked for, like, let's say a few $1,000 and then a lack of benefits of your rank. It looks like. Interviewed by the news media, one of the six predicted that every major city in the United States would soon collapse into martial law and economic chaos.
All right, he's been listening to Rush.
He he and the others would emerge to help put the pieces back together. The incident was much more complicated than it appeared on the surface, however. The leader of the group, one Vance Davis, was trained in a dramatic music cue. Nate, if you could play it with your mouth. The Silva Mind Control. We talked about it before. I believe it was a Grave Nugget series you did, Nate.
It has come up, yes. I
But
believe it wasn't a grave nugget situation.
Vance Davis was trained in Silva Mind Control, and as a layman, can you give us the lowdown on that, Nate?
Not really. I don't remember exactly. I've got notes on it somewhere.
But it was like cult shit, right?
Yeah, let me.
Like it was there was a man who was leading it, the Silva method,
Yeah, yeah. Jose
Jose
Silva.
Silva.
Um, oh
And it
gosh,
it
no, that's
is
his
it
actual
is
website.
insane. I remember this being a deep dive almost.
Yeah, I mean, it was part of a much larger thing. Um, But the technique aims to reach and sustain a state of mental functioning called the alpha state, where brainwave frequency is 7 to 14 hertz. Daydreaming and the transition to sleeping are alpha states. Silva claimed to have developed a program that train people to enter certain brain states of enhanced awareness. So basically, yeah, you can slowly train yourself to build out your mind's eye and touch the aethers, and you can basically become psychic eventually.
And the NSA went, this man should lead the group.
I mean, maybe if they're gonna end up being part of the NSA's lead paranormal,
Fair enough.
like
Fair enough.
they're getting the cool Ouija boards.
So this is brought up because it involves a lot of other stuff. With the Silva mind control method, you have communication with aliens and other beings, shit like that. And
Oh, yeah,
as
you
a
can talk
teen,
to animals and things. Like there's no upper limit to what the Silva mind control method can do for you.
he studied it as a teenager. So
I
he's
mean,
extremely powerful.
that was
Now, if he's still
usually
alive,
I think when you started doing it.
but you don't keep up with it. So it seems like he was keeping up with it. He's a god. He also was contacted by a female alien named Kia or Kaya, who had green skin and said she was from a planet 45 light years from Earth. Her race is telepathic and was coming to Earth in 1992. That's right, the year Alien Nation hits the waves. Who are these jokes for? We are old. Her race. Also, watch Alien Nation. Weirdly, both bad and good all at the same time. Her race is telepathic and was coming to Earth in 1992. When this is happening, we're in 1990. And her race was coming to Earth to protect the planet from the end times. The author says it is doubtful that the Gulf Breeze 6 decided on a whim or lark to use the Ouija board. Vance was a spiritual person, if not religious person, with his own, I will never be able to pronounce this word, eschatological views. He believed in reincarnation and that he had been sacrificed to the gods in previous lives. Human beings are survivors of a great war and were put on this planet and cut off from the universe. Humans have a special Jesus gene that cannot be copied or manipulated. Which now we're getting into some weird shit, like does every human have it, or like just Christians? Do I not have it as I'm not baptized? Does it come to you, or is it just like from the line of David, in which case any Abrahamic people have it? What about the Hindus?
I guess it's probably you would just associate. It's probably just like whatever you believe is the thing that moves your life along the path of destiny.
So I do not have the Jesus gene. Excellent.
No, you would have the Roger gene because you believe in yourself.
Yeah, radical.
The self-esteem gene.
The US government had been in a secret relationship with the aliens, of which there are two factions, and we have talked about it. The Alliance, which we might know as the Galactarian Alliance, who wanted to help humanity, and the others, who carried out frightening abductions and medical experiments, such as the reptilians and
The
some of the
reptilians for
Greys.
sure. Yep, yep. Well, and
So,
depending on who you talk to, the Greys may just be the like weird like clone foot soldiers of the reptilians.
yes, and then you also have the Ponti, who could be the some of the Greys. Who the Ponti are the ones who abducted um, Betty and Barney Hill, according to Susan Walker,
Yeah.
the Ponti contactee that I interviewed, and she says it's not an abduction; it is a health visit, like what we do with animals on a preserve. You know, we tranquilize them a
Yeah.
little bit, see how they're doing, and then send them
Tag
back a
them.
little bit confused, losing some time. So it is no surprise that the entities who came through the board had a message catering to these interests and had biblical names such as Zechariah, Mark, Timothy. Oh, Timothy's old. And even the Virgin Mary.
Yeah.
That would be me as
You
a ghost
imagine,
coming through. It'd be like, yeah, I'm the
yeah.
Virgin Mary.
I was
You're
gonna
not
say,
going to test me.
can you imagine meeting somebody at like a bar or at a show or whatever, and they tell you their name's the Virgin Mary?
We do have a weird incident in this case. One spirit or entity did not have a biblical name, and that is a female. Well, two of them did not. Sorry, you have Kia or Kaya, and then you have one that's named Sapphire, both female but non-biblical names, as far as the author is aware. The board sessions lasted from December 1989 to July 1990, during which the spirits delivered messages of impending disaster, including a great European US conflict. By the way, none of this happens as well.
Yeah, I don't recall that.
That's because the soldiers did their goddamn job, Nate. The
Yeah,
Gulf Breeze
no,
6
okay.
saved us from it.
It's true. I mean, that's how we know that the Department of Homeland Security is actually doing something every single day.
One of the
There's supposed
headlines.
to be a September 12th.
There was supposed to be 4 planes the next day, and you know what? There wasn't. When the news of the story of the soldiers' desertion and arrest broke, the Northwest Florida Daily News had the headline: Six AWOL soldiers said they aimed to kill the Antichrist. Once
Wait,
again,
what is
that was the headline
what
from the
paper?
Northwest Florida Daily News. Once again, they rented a car, drove to Florida in the summer, and then were eventually found because they didn't fix a broken tail light. So I don't know about killing the Antichrist or their original story. But here's a weird coincidence, although it can be explained because they are high-ranking members of the NSA or agents of the NSA. The military investigation generated 1,600 pages of documents from this investigation, 1,400 of which were classified, which I think is weird. However, it can be explained them doing classified work. A bulk of this story is going to be classified. But I feel a bulk of this isn't really, dealing with what they're doing, except that maybe some of the events that they were being told about relate to what was going on. And as Nate said, there was supposed to be a September 12th, but the NSA did their job, Detailed notes were taken from the intense Ouija sessions were supposedly given to military officials upon their arrest. Odd
He
effects
worked
are
in like some cryptic backwards handwriting.
so, spirit drawings, cryptic writing that just says kill in different languages over and over again. Aramaic grocery lists, ghost shit. The odd effects surrounding the Gulf Breeze 6 remain perplexing and astonishing. UFOologists and others who attempted to investigate this case have speculated that the government officials may have been experimenting with methods of mind control using Ouija boards. So perhaps we have some acid experiments or something, give them some Ouija boards, let's see what fucking happens, thus explaining honorable discharges from the army versus something that would strip them. However, the army did, of course, remove their rank and everything, which is quite the punishment. But they could have been experimented on as well.
Yeah, I mean that kind of that tracks pretty well. And that was like my initial thought too. It was like, were they, maybe being given some sort of psychoactive substance, possibly unbeknownst to them? They were like, hey, play with this Ouija board, why don't you?
Yeah, you guys are doing psychic stuff. You told me about that Silva mind control. It sounds like you should take this pill and play with the
Have
Ouija board.
have some of this tea. I promise it's gonna do some fun stuff.
So that's gonna end my segment for this week. I'm gonna go through the book and find one more solid segment from it. But I suggest you check it out. Read the sample. If it's for you, it's for you. But it's been a fun read. It's called the ZoZo Zuzu Phenomenon. It is by one Darren Evans and Rosemary Ellen Guiley. Once again, Rosemary's doing the Lord's work out there and is compiling stuff for a bunch of books. I'm finding out. I'm going to follow her work, as should you. Give them some monies. Monies is how we survive in society. Give us monies. Go to werewolfradar.com and the monies page. But I realize I spoke without the speaking skull, and now I am cursed once again for this week. So I am prepared to deal with the tail and the wings. I have a suit big enough to hide it. But please open up the speaking skull chest, Nate, and do not get cursed as well.
Speaking skull arise. All right. Well, I think that I've successfully deloused it. So we're going to, as we often do, honestly, travel across the Pacific Ocean to the land of the rising sun.
Dude, I'm gonna be the worst geek when me and my lady go to Japan. Like, I'm gonna, the poor guide who has to deal with me. And when the guide's gone and me butchering basic Japanese, asking where the ghosts are, I'm gonna be a menace.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you're going to be stopping at every shrine.
Dude, first of all, they're beautiful. Second of all, that's where the ghosts are.
Checking behind every toilet for the licking yokai.
I leave my toilet dirty for two reasons. One, I'm lazy. Two, I'm going to be the
Yokai.
one with the licking yokai.
This is from an article entitled Mystery Beasts of Japan, Bizarre Aliens and Entities Edition. And
Ooh, I
this
don't
will
know too much about Japanese UFO
alien
slash
stuff.
alien
Yeah.
encounters.
Nor did I until I took a look at this thing. And this will probably be a couple parter.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
Japan is a land of a rich history of folklore. I guess I should get the author's name here, Brett Swancer. Japan is a land of a rich history of folklore, myth, legend, and tales of mysterious creatures. We know this, Brett. Yet some of these stories
Every
seem to
place
jump.
is too, by the way. That is such
Also,
a
yeah.
nonsense thing to say, to be like, this place is rich in lore. It's
Yeah,
cool, man. So's next door.
crack a book. Yet some of these stories seem to jump out of the realm of pure legend and also seem to imply bizarre alien beings and creatures from beyond the bizarre. Here we will look at a selection of some of the more far out encounters, far out, with beings and entities in Japan that are really hard to fully classify. One very weird alien encounter, which also happens to have so-called photographic proof, supposedly occurred in April of 1975 in the city of Kawanoe on Japan's Shikoku Island. On the night of March 24th, 75, a local resident by the name of Kiichi Shiota was at a city landfill. I guess he's, as you do, hit the
Yeah,
junkyard, see what's going on.
cool
Uh,
kid back then with their homework done, and waiting for dinner, go down to the landfill.
yeah. When he says he saw something very bizarre. There amongst the rubble, he spied a luminous figure in some sort of metallic suit hovering around 7 feet off the ground,
Yeah.
which he would,
Sorry, that's
which
what I
he,
assumed he
no,
said.
I would hope so, which he would describe as an alien cosmonaut. The being itself was said to be about 6 feet tall, and it then smoothly descended to about a foot off the ground before floating towards the startled witness, who says he then began to develop a sharp headache that increased with intensity the closer it came. This headache apparently became absolutely agonizing, sending him on his way. Shiota then became determined to go back to the scene of his strange encounter, this time taking with him 3 cameras for the purpose of possibly capturing something strange on film. He would visit that landfill night after night for a whole week, hoping to catch another glimpse of the otherworldly. And then on March 31st, his patience paid off.
Ooh.
He would claim that that familiar head-splitting headache had descended upon him once again. What a horrible, way to, awful sort of spider sense that you're using to
It,
figure out if the aliens is nearby.
I don't think he's using it, but I think it's a
Yeah,
result of the alien, right? Like it's like too
yeah,
much
no,
of its gas or like too much of its radiation in our human brain.
for sure. At which point he knew that
Also,
he
when
was,
you Google Russian or Japanese alien cosmonaut, this is the image that comes up.
oh, okay, that's
That's a normal
that's
man.
just a guy in
Yeah.
a space suit.
An American too, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Everything was wrong about that. Come on, Google, do better.
Let's try AI.
All right, I'll get meta on it.
At that point, he knew he was no longer alone there, huddling in the darkness. Looking about him, he could then make out what appeared to be a bluish, cloud-like light hovering around 300 feet away, which he described as, quote, an electrical disturbance, which
Ooh,
is,
that would explain the pain too.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a lightning ball, I guess. And as he peered through the gloom at it, the humanoid emerged from its center. Once again, it glided towards him, and this time Shiota claimed that he had taken a series of photographs of the strange entity. As if realizing that it was being photographed, the creature then veered off at great speed and vanished into thin air. And then there is a picture of the alien. I'll drop it into our Discord later, but
Nice.
it doesn't really look like anything.
What do you mean?
Like it's clearly a humanoid figure, but it's very blurry. And this was taken at night. I'm pretty sure you can't really make out anything.
Okay, so it's just bad situation for photos. Like he tried his
Yeah,
best, but it is what it is. We're in Bigfoot country.
yeah, yeah. Very blurry. It kind of looks like a head with like a white like unitard, but it's like the shorts kind of unitard.
You need to share this photo now.
What did he catch on film? Is this a hoax or is there something more to it? Interestingly, on February 23rd, 1975, of that same year, two 7-year-old boys named Masato Kawano and Katsuhiro Yamahata were out roller skating in the early evening hours in Kofu City, Yamanashi Prefecture, when they claimed that they saw in the sky a pair of luminous orange lights that flickered and made a strange ticking sound. As they looked
Ooh.
on in amazement, one of the lights apparently moved off toward the distant mountains, while the other started to descend, sorry, to descend towards the ground nearby. The boys claimed that they went off to investigate and saw the strange craft come down to rest in a small vineyard behind an old abandoned estate. The craft was described as being a dome disc around 15 feet in diameter and 7 feet high. So, kind of your classic uh, saucer
Yeah, yeah.
thing going on, which rested upon three ball-shaped legs. The surface of the strange object was silver-colored and appeared to have characters or letters of some sort etched upon it. The loud ticking sound of the craft was very pronounced as they drew closer, sounding somewhat reminiscent of a Geiger counter. As the two boys,
Okay.
I know, right? Like, seems like very unsafe to approach this. As the two boys pondered what they were seeing, a hatch purportedly opened on the side out of nowhere, and a ladder extended towards the ground, after which a strange-looking being climbed out. Uh, and I don't know why he's conflating these two things, because this being couldn't be more different. Uh, the creature stood around 4 feet tall and was wearing a reflective silver suit of some sort. The being's skin was allegedly a dark brown in color, and it was covered with thick wrinkles that were so pronounced as to make most of its facial features indiscernible, save for two pointed ears and prominent and intimidating 2-inch long silver fangs. You
Ooh.
don't often see fangs on the aliens. That jutted out from the folds of where its mouth might be. In its hands it held some sort of device whose purpose could not be fathomed, but which looked somewhat like a rifle. Another of the creatures could be seen sitting within the craft, huddled over some sort of flickering control panel. Whatever it was seemed to have completely ignored the two young boys standing there gawking at it as it proceeded to carefully examine the surrounding terrain. After a few moments of this, it suddenly seemed to become aware of the boys, after which it approached them and patted one of them, Yamahata, twice on the shoulder while issuing a sound that sounded like, quote, a tape recorder running backwards.
Insane.
I mean, it gets weirder even. Upon being tapped, Yamahata allegedly slumped to the ground and was unable to move, paralyzed by some inscrutable force. This pushed Kawano into action, and he quickly scooped his friend up onto his shoulders and ran from the area as fast as his legs could carry him. When he got home, Yamahata came to, and they supposedly told their parents what had happened, who would grudgingly follow the boys out to the estate outside to see the strange orange light climbing up into the sky for themselves. So this is a four-person witness situation.
That's a lot. I mean, I don't, people would like to say mass hysteria on shit like this, but like four people saw something and that's enough for me.
It's not nothing, yeah. The light would then emit a burst of blinding light and vanish. Later, school officials, so they told a bunch of people, school officials would descend upon the area in daylight to examine the site and would allegedly find two sturdy concrete posts that had been pushed over by some powerful force, as well as a ring pattern etched into the ground nearby. Authorities of the Civil Aviation Bureau of Transportation Ministry, seems like too many words, would later get wind of the story and dismiss the lights as merely from normal aircraft in the area. No word on what they thought the fanged humanoid could have been, or if it had anything to do with what Shioto would witness a month later. So we jump ahead a couple of years to 1978, to
Okay.
another very outlandish encounter, this time in the area of Sayama City. In October of that year, the city had been going through a spate of intense UFO activity, and on the evening of October 3rd, things would take a turn for the truly bizarre. On this night, 29-year-old Hideichi Amano was out testing out some ham radio equipment on a hill overlooking the city. It was a hobby of his, and on this occasion, he was using the radio to talk with other ham enthusiasts about the area. He didn't stay long, as his young daughter was waiting for him in the car. But as he got ready to leave, something remarkable would reportedly happen. I like to stay in the car, dear. I gotta talk to my ham friends. As he prepared to start the vehicle, the entire interior was bathed in a bright light, its source a complete mystery, as they had been out there completely alone. Amano looked outside, but he could see nothing that could account for the light. And when he looked back at his 2-year-old daughter, she was in some sort of daze and foaming at the mouth. As he panicked and wondered what to do, fucking go to a
Go
hospital,
to the
man.
hospital. Yeah, that is you cannot do anything there. You a doctor can.
As he panicked and wondered what to do, an orange beam of light pierced in from out of the night to land upon his stomach, and he felt himself feeling woozy and faint. There was then the sensation of something pressing into the side of his head, and when he turned to look, there was allegedly a humanoid entity with a round head, no neck, and glowing blue eyes standing outside the car with a pipe-like instrument pushed up to his head, which was producing voiceless, high-pitched noises that seemed to penetrate directly into his mind.
Ugh. I hate how
And
they
when he
just get in there.
do you think it's just like a noise rock from the stars?
It's rock so advanced you can't even comprehend.
Yeah, this is how Merzbow is born.
Ah,
The panicked witness desperately tried to start his car, but nothing worked, and he seemed to be without any power at all. Indeed, moving his limbs felt like moving through a thick liquid, giving him the sense that he was partially paralyzed. He started to get the impression that that rapidly fluctuating droning in his head was giving him a message, although he had no idea what it could be. This apparently went on for about 5 minutes, which is crazy to me because usually these things are like 30 seconds max.
yeah.
After which that truly bizarre entity pulled away his instrument and vanished into the night. There was a beat of utter silence, and then the car roared to life, scaring Amano nearly as badly as that creature had. To his great relief, his young daughter now seemed to be okay, acting as if nothing had happened at all.
I don't think I could
Amano,
do that. I don't think I could return and be like, well, I
ah,
guess that fixed that, and then just go on. I'd be like, daughter, look at me. We saw
yeah,
something tonight, and if you tell your mother, she will be haunted too. We die with this secret.
yeah, you've got to go get like a physical or something afterward.
Yeah, like she was foaming at the mouth.
Amano would frantically contact police to tell them of what had happened. but they didn't take it seriously at all. I mean, fair enough, I guess.
Yeah.
Although you should, police, listen to everyone. Through all of this, his head was becoming increasingly painful, overcome with a relentless headache. After several nights of terrible nightmares, he would seek out hypnotic regression, which would turn up some curiosities. Amino related how the creature had given him a future date, time, and location to meet again, and how the entity had given him a bracelet of some sort, claimed to be some sort of communication device. Even more eerily still was his insistence that something had been placed within his head and was influencing his mind, and the whole story was so sensational that it made the rounds on Japanese television for a while before fading into obscurity. What was going on here? The article asks, and then answers, who knows?
Truly, that's how all good mysteries end.
Yeah. Wah, wah, wah. These cases, for the most part, seem to be pretty obscure and forgotten, relegated to the back catalog of alien encounters despite their spectacular natures. There seems to have been very little follow-up done on them and little further information, leaving us to wonder what could be going on here. Were these aliens interdimensional interlopers of some sort, the ravings of the imagination, or something more? Whatever the case may be, they remain some of the strangest that Japan has to offer. So yeah, that's weird that Japan had a whole like handful of seemingly a handful of UFO flaps in the 70s, and it's never come up.
I just never talk about it. We talk about everything else. We're with that, they got some great demons, some great cryptids, some phenomenal yokai.
They have the real burial place of Christ.
Yeah, they have the real like Christians, you need to go there. They got the real one, okay? This
It's in a
whole
pyramid.
shit, I don't know anything about Jesus's tomb. I thought they don't got Jesus's tomb down in Jerusalem, all right? It's in Japan. Wrong J place.
It's a great way to describe it. The three J's. In 2011, in the days leading up to the deadly earthquake and massive tsunami in Fukushima, a witness named Marcus Pulis claims to have made a sighting of what he describes as a bizarre winged humanoid in the area. So we've got a Japanese Mothman.
Or maybe just Mothman enjoying some time away, still doing
Mothman
what he
on
does,
vacation.
but
Mothman goes to camp.
we need to make
Pu-
that shirt for Spooky Appalachia. Just here, make it so. Can you make this appear? All the money's yours, but this needs to exist.
Pules, it's Pule. I'm not sure if it's Pules or Pules, whatever. Either way, one of the two.
One of
Uh,
them.
said said that he had been in Japan on business in February of 2011 and had decided to stay with a friend who had long lived in Japan, teaching English in the rural town of Okuma in the Fukushima region. One day, the two friends went out to look around the town, and in the evening, they went to the seaside, walking along a trail that meandered near the Daiichi Fukushima nuclear power plant. At this point, still normal working condition, I would think so. With no hint as to the
No, it was
major
weirdly
disaster.
worse. No one talks about it, but it's actually better now.
Yeah, we noticed that it was about to explode, and thank God that tsunami stopped it from doing so.
People died.
Uh, with no hint as to the major disaster and specter of doom it was to become. As they walked along, Pules claimed that he heard a sudden whoosh, which he at first took to be the sound of the nearby ocean waves crashing against rocks. But his mind was changed when the sound repeated and then was followed by an ear-piercing shriek, the likes of which he had never heard before.
Ooh, I like these tales.
His friend heard it as well, as did a couple who had been on the same path out for a romantic evening stroll. Pills would say, "We heard it again," the whooshing noise, followed by an ear-pitching screech that shook me down to the bone and made the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. We looked around for the cause of the noise, but when we heard the sound again, the best way I can describe it is a city bus's brakes when they're in need of service. Loud and ear-splitting. We both continued to look around when my friend's attention was drawn toward the plant by another nearby couple. A younger couple out for a walk were staring toward the plant, arms outstretched, and the obvious fear in their voices showing itself. Pules then looked out towards the power plant looming in the distance and thought he could make out a large, shadowy figure silhouetted by the plant's lights and the moonlight, which appeared to be sitting perched atop one of the buildings. As he stared at it, trying to figure out who or what it could be, the figure suddenly unfurled what looked like a massive set of black wings and took to the sky, where it circled the plant several times. Peels described the frightening events that followed, thus.
Ooh.
The creature then took flight and circled the plant at least 4 to 5 times. Some circuits he took at a fast pace, some he seemed to slow down. All the while he kept his attention on the row of square-shaped buildings that I later found out housed the reactors. The creature then came toward us, flying at least 25 to 30 feet off the ground. The younger couple who had noticed the creature first were now screaming and cowering, the man shielding the woman while shielding his head with a jacket. My friend and I looked in awe as this creature flew over us. And that's when I noticed the two large red eyes. These seemed to glow from within and with a blood-red hue. They were unblinking in the 3 to 4 seconds we saw them. We knew they were looking straight at us. We knew this creature, knew we could see it, and this is poorly punctuated. We knew this creature knew we could see it, and it made no attempt to disguise itself. The sick, intense, and overwhelming feeling of dread came over us. A feeling that we shouldn't be there was, to say the least, overwhelming. Then the bizarre, flying humanoid creature suddenly flew off towards town as the friend fumbled with his cell phone trying to take a picture of it, until it eventually faded away into the distance to leave the witnesses in a state of terrified confusion. Pulis and his friend quickly vacated the area, and as soon as they got home, the two panicked men talked about what they'd seen, trying to come to grips with what it had been, and settling on the explanation that it must have been a large bird or optical illusion caused by the lights of the plant, although they both knew deep down that this was not the case. Because of the dark conditions at the time, none of the pictures the friend had tried to take turned out well. In the following days, they tried not to bring it up, and Pulis would try to put the strange encounter out of his mind. It was not until after he had returned to the States that he would be reminded of the creature once again, when the same friend woke him in the middle of the night in March, frantically talking about the huge earthquake that had just struck the area where he lived, practically leveling the town he was in. Pulis turned on the TV and over the next few days was bombarded with images of the devastation that the earthquake and resultant tsunami had dealt out, including the meltdown of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, which happened to be the very same plant where they had seen the frightening winged humanoid. Pulis would muse on the relationship. That is correct.
Yes, thank you.
Pulis would muse on the relationship between the disaster and what he'd been and what he'd seen, saying, "Was it pure coincidence, or was it the mythical Mothman doing his strange work of predicting disasters? I may never know, and may go to the grave wondering that, but one thing is certain for sure. I don't think that neither of us is going to forget this event, no matter how long we live." Uh, and that I think, is probably a good place to stop. Do you know where we're at time-wise?
It's time. It's
All
time.
right.
We did a good hour, 90-ish or so. It'll cut down a little bit.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's I'm going to slowly place the speaking skull back into its mysterious place of sleeping.
Bravo. Bravo,
And then
Nate.
we'll come back to Japan's alien and entities encounters next week.
Well then, I will take
He's
the
broken
box
news.
and put it into the larger box, and then I
Right.
will pour cement over it, and next week it will be broke out and ready to be used again. That's been this episode of Werewolf Radar, everyone. Thank you for listening. It really means a lot to us that you're there, putting us into into your earballs. You are putting us. If you like what we do, please give us a 5-star review wherever you're listening to this at. If you're on the YouTube, please give us a like and subscribe. Comment down below how you liked it, or if you have any other theories about what we are talking about. Engagement helps growth. If you really dig what we do and like video games, check us out. Patreon. Nope. Twitch.tv/werewolf_radar. I play games there randomly, plus D&D every-ish Monday. We're continuing down to hell with an even greater weapon, with an entity in there that Nate's character just agrees with. It's not really changing him at all. Nate just goes yes a
Oh,
lot.
I started out lawful evil, sticking with it.
Nothing changes for Nate, but he's talking a lot more to himself. If you are able to, check us out at patreon.com/werewolf radar and think about giving us a small financial donation. You can get awesome merchandise with designs designed by Jordan, exclusive episodes that only Dark Council members get. Patreon members are what they are. And they're grave nuggets. They're curated by Nate and awesome to listen to. A whole bunch of extra paranormal goodness there. And you help us run the show with hosting fees and program subscriptions. Everything's subscription based now. Every editing program, blah, blah, it's all nonsense.
Yeah, we let the capitalists run the country, and
Yep.
this is what we got.
This is what happens now. But overall, just go to werewolfradar.com. We got a merch store. You can get awesome merch. The new Spaceman Joe shirt is there. Check it out. And that's really it on the promotion things. We got friends. Check out Spooky Appalachia. Check out Paranormal Girl. Check out, I don't know. You tell us what a good podcast is. I like music. The Pillows, still rocking it. Who is this show for? That's an old reference too. Anyway, guys, on the count of 3, let's wrap up this episode with our sign-off line for everyone. 1, 2, 3. Punch the sky, Spaceman Joe.